that the topic that we'll be tackling today will be focusing on the media generally, the local media, their roles in the Southeast. We have TV, we have radio, we have online TVs from Southeast. So we'll be talking about how and what role, and how they are going to play the role, or if they have played it. We'll assess if they have played it well. Then we will now talk about how they are going to play it going forward. My name is Uche Okoye. I'll be hosting with Amegu. So today we have a special guest, Chuka. Chuka will be taking us on the very topic that we're going to be discussing today. Chuka, by the way, is he's a solution strategist. He's a music-preneur and talent developer, and of course, serial entrepreneur. I believe that he's going to give us in-depth analysis of what we are going to be discussing today. Mr. Chuka, you're
Thank
welcome.
you for having me. Thank you.
All right. So, Chuka, tell us, what do you think about the role of media in the creative industry?
Well, I guess when you're talking about media, you're talking about radio, TV, and the rest of the conventional media before we talk about the new media, right?
Okay. Exactly. We are talking about conventional media for now. New media will come subsequently, but they are still part of it. Is still
Okay.
part of the media we
Okay.
are talking about.
Well,
But let's take it step by step. The conventional,
all
then
right.
the new media.
Um, I would say that it has evolved a lot, from what used to be to what we had about 20 years ago. And at that time, we had more of radio. I would say that radio particularly has played a significant role in the music industry in Nigeria and anywhere in the world. It was the only way to discover music at some point. New artists suddenly emerge on the scene by you hearing the voice of a presenter introducing a new voice, a new artist, and listen, I'm about to introduce to you this amazing, awesome talent. Then they mention the name of the artist and play their music, and from there everything takes off. It has happened severally, and I have seen the power that it wields on the life of an artist's career and on the music industry, especially from the 90s till maybe 2015. It was a major booster for the music industry to the point that a lot of things started changing. People became too desperate, too ambitious, and began to try to monetize the process of promoting music through the radio, especially. TV is another powerful media that also plays a different kind of role from what radio does, in the sense that it brings it home the more, because sometimes you want to see the face of this person you listen to. So by the time you watch the video, it drives the message home if the video is well directed. And the advent of Channel O, apart from, I mean, we had our normal um, domestic TV stations, terrestrial TV stations that were doing their job at some point from the 80s, 90s, and the late 90s, and then the private guys came in. Before then, it was just ATA and the state government television stations, and they did what they could. I mean, the music I listened to while I was growing up was mostly watched on TV and a few on radio. But I think the game changed when the private guys came in, especially in Lagos. DBN, AIT, Silverbird. They took it upon themselves to do much more because they realized that they needed the entertainment industry in order to drive their own content, because they realized that the burdened youths of Nigeria at that time loves music a lot. So they realized we need to give them what they want to hear. Exactly what it did, and that produced a lot of positive results. Then coupled with what happened coming from the Western world, the investors who came into Africa, like South Africa, and they started Channel O. Channel O was a big window for the music industry at that time, and it really, really helped Nigerian music industry that was being resuscitated as at 1998, 99, 2000. Then the rest of them came in Channel O, MTV Base, then Trace. And in the Southeast, we had the likes of uh, ESBS, which later transformed, rebranded. And then we had another radio also, Radio Nigeria, who was doing what they could. But there was one that was playing the same role that the private stations were playing in the Lagos, which is Minaj FM. Minaj did their own, and Minaj was the hit at that time, you know. So they actually played a very strong role. And it was easier at that time in the sense that, like I said, they perceived it as a role they have to play because the music industry and the media are intertwined. There is no radio without music. So they had to play their role to make sure that the music industry is coming on board, is coming out there and coming into the scene and growing, because the more it grew, the more content they had for their audience, and the more audience they had, the more they were able to expand their audience and reach even more people, especially young people, because Minaj was the first to catch the young people in Nigeria, in the Southeast. So yeah, it was actually powerful at that time. It played the role it was supposed to play to a large extent, even though at some point, there were rumors of payola spoiling the game. So it made it more difficult for those who can't afford to pay for promo from behind the table, and all that.
All right. Thank you so much. There are many challenges, bedeviling the Southeast. One of them is the media blackout. The Southeastern people don't invest in the media. We'll talk about that later. But what we have today is to talk about the role of the media to make us understand really the importance of this media that we are talking about. How they have been able to do what they've done, and what can be done better, the ways we can actually explore to make it better. All right. So, Chuka, you were talking about the role, the responsibilities of the media, the traditional, conventional media. Is it
Yes.
right for me to ask you, how can they, the practitioners especially, incorporate the modern media or modern trends in order to remain relevant, in order to upgrade their skill or upscale their skill, whichever way? How are they going to do that? Is there any solution inside? Because currently see that the media houses in the Southeast, they lack that external exposure. They mainly revolves around, they revolve around Southeast, which is very limited. So is there any way they can break this barrier in order to gain external attention, if not international attention?
Yes, I believe that it's possible. The thing is that something happened. It's called disruption. You know, from 5, 7 years ago, there was a disruption, and that disruption has been ongoing. So when you are a gatekeeper in a certain sector in an industry for a long time, you've gained ground. You build your blocks, you build your mold, you mold your company after what you're doing, and after you solidify, it becomes very difficult to evolve, especially if you have run it for a long time, because even your leadership are getting older. They are stuck in their ways. So most of the times what happens is that a new set of guys, new kids on the block, younger people are always the ones who come to disrupt. And when they disrupt it, they take it from there and they kick. And most of the times what happens is that the bigger guys look at them and see them as a threat rather than joining what's going on. They try to attack them, or they try to ignore them, or look down on them, and before you know it, they have taken over. And that's what's happened in the Nigerian music industry. There was a time when if you are not on radio, nobody will ever know you. But today, some artists actually blow without going on radio. So what we need is either having new radio stations with new leaders, with new mindsets, who can a bring the audiovisual part of this broadcasting business into their operation. A few people have already evolved in the industry. For instance, Beat FM has evolved, Cool FM has evolved. A few others have evolved in the sense that most of their interviews, they record it and capture it with their cameras, put it on their YouTube channel, always feed their YouTube channel with content. So those who can't see them or can't hear them because these people are not within their geographical location, can watch them on YouTube live while it's ongoing, and can also watch them later if they miss the program. That's a beautiful thing about the new media. It doesn't just go live; it stays there. So you come back to it at your own convenient time. This is one part of it. So the music, the radio stations in the southeast, I don't know how much they have embraced this aspect, the audio visual aspect of radio. I don't know how much they have embraced. I remember when I was at the radio some years ago, it was one of the first things I tried to introduce to the operations. Bringing in cameras, designing the set of the studio, redesigning the studio set to be visual friendly, so that when people see it on the video, it will look good. So what you used to see as the interior of a radio studio in those days has changed to something more aesthetic today. It's way more attractive today. You understand? So that is something that needs to happen more in the southeast. I believe that the private sector driven radio stations in the southeast, like Urban FM, um, Sound City FM, Dream, Ogene, there are several of them in Anambra, Enugu, Imo, and Abia, even Darling FM, Imo State, and so many other ones. I think there are more than 20, 25 radio stations right now. There's a need for an awakening to the fact that the industry has evolved and they need to go with it. And it will require bringing in people who understand how that works, people who have mastered new media, people who have mastered the YouTube channels, the YouTube platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and how to integrate that into the operation in the sense that everything can actually go simultaneously when you are having important programs. Also, when you play music, certain music like maybe top 10 or special music programs. But beyond this, it's not just the video, the audio as well. I have noticed that some radio stations have developed their own apps, their radio apps, and they broadcast on those radio channels, on those radio apps. But I don't know how stable those apps have been in terms of broadcasting 24/7, just like the radio station itself broadcasts 24/7. So the level of efficiency in this aspect begs mobile to be able to access content online as it goes. This means that anybody who is listening to radio will have to use the internet it gets from MTN, Airtel, and the rest of them. And then the radio stations themselves, the cost of running their operation is much bigger because they don't have competition amongst the ISPs supplying the internet they require for this to work very well. But that is not enough excuse, because this is something that is supposed to expand their business, expand their market, expand their reach, even into the diaspora. Because right now, like you said in the last conversation we had, everybody needs to be thinking global, because Nigeria has gotten attention. I remember when I was saying this to my friends, we used to talk about this, seriously and passionately about 15 years ago, how Nigerian music is going to go global. Today, it's a reality, and everybody needs to come on board in the sense that they are waiting for more. They want to access more. So we need to be able to put our stuff on platforms that are not limited to geographical locations, and the only way is the internet. So they need to embrace the internet tools that are available, and that works by bringing people who are internet savvy, social media savvy, digital marketing savvy, and new media savvy. In fact, every radio station should have a new media team of people who do this. This is their job, not just one person. Like the times I've seen the radio stations I've been to, they usually have a social media manager. That's not enough. Social media manager, what can you do alone? So it's actually something to be integrated into their operations,
Yeah.
big time. So this is what I believe. I believe that there is a lot that can be done. It won't be easy. It's not easy, and I believe a lot of people are doing something in how I'm talking to you. We don't know their challenges. We don't know what they are dealing with, but it's not the same when you do these things from the southeast. Like I just elaborated some of the things, but there are radio stations in Lagos who are not doing this, who are also not doing much about that. I don't know. Maybe it's because their funding is not strong enough. Maybe their profitability is not strong enough to fund that aspect, because it costs money to run audiovisual or to run online. But it's essential because the conventional radio is dying.